Hello and welcome to episode 41 of Weird Mind Newsroom, where I'll be delving into all that came out this week. We have a lot of new releases, a couple of trailers, and a lot of news stories to talk about this week, so I'm not going to waste too much time and hassle. Let's get into what came out this week. So this time, we start with the first film of this week. That is essentially what is labelled as many's first big blockbuster of 2024. And that is of course with the second half of the epic grand sci-fi epic with Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2. And this will follow on from the first film's ending with Paul and Lady Jessica escaping deep into the desert of Arrakis, where they have come into contact with the natives of the desert planet of the Freemen. They will soon become part of their culture and band together to create an army to fight against the Harkonnen, to destroy their family, and band together to basically stop at all costs from any future wars and stuff like that, and possibly prevent a possible dark future that only Paul can foresee. Now, reception on this movie has been universally praised for its massive step up in the well-received first part, from the action, its cast, its writing to some extent, and set pieces, and some labeling it as the best piece of sci-fi ever made, or of recent memory. Now, it was a case that Part 1 I think is visually great, but kind of has its issues. I rewatched it there a couple days ago, just prepare for this one. I haven't seen this one yet, but I will definitely be giving this a look into, and you can check it out now as it's available now to see in cinemas. But if massive sci-fi is not much of an interest and much rather a horror rom-com, then look no further than the new teen 80s romance horror of Lisa Frankenstein. This new film follows Lisa, a misunderstood teenager who becomes infatuated with a reanimated Victorian-era corpse man, where they will soon go on a murderous journey together to find some love, happiness, and a few missing body parts along the way. Now, reception on this film has been a little more mixed, with praise to its cast and its tone of the 80s teen horrors, but feeling too close to them and not really having much of a say in some things, though the concept's also liked as well. And if you want something to show that love isn't really dead, then you can check out the new film now in cinemas. However, if you want some sci-fi but rather not leave the comfort of your home, well then you're in luck, as you can head over to the newest new film of this week, as we have the new Adam Sandler-led Netflix movie of Spaceman. Now, he plays Jacob Prochaska, an astronaut who has been sent on a mission to the vast edge of the solar system to investigate the Chopra cloud. And while on this journey, we'll come into contact with a strange creature of a giant talking spider that I think is voiced by Paul Dano, I possibly think, that will help him find and resolve some of the problems that he left behind back on Earth, has taken a toll on him through this lonely mission. I can sense that. Now, the reception on this film has also been a little bit mixed bag, as while the performances and the themes and issues discussed are very strongly praised, it does leave it's few and far between with those issues and themes, and not given really much of a well-worth outcome by the end. It kind of leaves some stuff hanging that could have been resolved. But if you want to experience this new film for yourself, then you can check it out now on Netflix. Now, on the show side of things for this week, we are heading to the realm of the ancient era of the samurai, as we have received an all-new series known simply as Shogun. This series is set in the year 1600 in Japan and follows the collision of two ambitious men from different worlds and a mysterious female samurai at the dawn of a century-defining civil war. Now, reception on this series has been very strongly praised for its story, its setting, its characters, and has been described by a lot of critics as the new Game of Thrones. But let's hope it's more of the early half and not more of the later half, because we all know how that turned out. And if you want to check it out for yourself, you can catch the first two episodes now on Disney Plus, with a new episode releasing every Tuesday. Now, on the first of the two games that have been released this week as well, is starting with the remake of a 10-year-old game that was very well received at the time, as it has gotten itself an upscaled remake in the form of Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. This will have the players follow the two siblings traveling across a vast fictitious land full of orcs and trolls in order for them to find a cure for their ailing father through puzzles and teamwork and all that sort of stuff. Now, the reception, like the original, has been very well praised for all of its charm of the original, as well as the impressive 4K visual upgrade. If you want to try it out for yourself, it is available now to play on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. And then wrapping up the new releases of this week is with the second biggest release of the week, and after 4 years since the now first part of a planned remake trilogy of one game, it is time to return for the second part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake with Rebirth. Now, this game will be set immediately after the events of Remake and follow Cloud Strife and his party of characters as they embark on their journey across the planet to prevent the mega corporation of Shinra from using the life stream as a powerful energy source and stopping Sephiroth from merging with the planet's power for ultimate power and control. Now, reception on this game has been universally praised for its visuals, its combat, its story, and vast amounts of content to keep many of the fans satisfied, and may be seen as a Game of the Year contender from the looks of things. It's probably the first one of the contenders. So if you want to try it out for yourself, you can do so now on PlayStation 5. And with all of that, that is all of the new releases that we've gotten for this week.
Pikachu.
And now to start the trailers for this week, we have the new form of the only horror thriller trailer for this week, and it is coming to us in the form of a new project based on adaptation of a book from an Irish author of the daughter of the horror thriller and twist extraordinaire of M.Night Shyamalan, and this is with her new film of The Watchers. Now this film will follow Mina, a young woman who gets stranded and trapped in a giant bunker-like structure in the vast expansive woods of Western Ireland, and must survive amongst three strangers who are also stuck in this cabin with her and are watched and stalked by mysterious strangers in the night. Now I think what this trailer does here is really well done in establishing the form of not telling us too much and showing elements of calm and tension to help sell the film well. And in most cases, I'll probably give this a fair, valid look. I know this isn't Shyamalan's only film he's working on this year. He's got his own movie out, I think, a month and a half later in August. But I'll definitely give this a look when this film releases on June 14th in cinemas. Now this next trailer was a film that was supposed to come out at the beginning of December, but was pulled from cinemas about a week and a half before release. And now we've gotten official release date and a new trailer for the upcoming film of The Bike Riders. This film will follow a fictional biker group known as the Vandals MC during the 1960s in Chicago, and will be told their story through the lives of its members over the course of a decade, going from a place for local outsiders of the group was to a more sinister group that threatens the original group's unique way of life. Now, I was looking forward to checking this one out back at Christmas, as I heard good things from the film festivals, and it was even sort of garnering some award season buzz, mainly towards Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, and some of the other cast members. And it may be a knock-on effect to Disney if it does win some nominations next year, but I'm sure we will see how this one turns out when the film releases on June 21st. And the last of the trailers for this week is coming to us from the Pokemon Direct that was happened earlier this week, and while we may also be getting the trading card game now coming to mobile devices, we did also get one more big announcement that it comes in the form of a follow-up to 2022's open world game with Pokemon Legends Z-A. Now from what I've gathered, and from my more established knowledgeable person in Pokemon from my friend Kay, this will be delving into skipping over Gen 5 and going towards Gen 6 or the XY era games, which is their least favorite gen, and was hoping for Gen 5 content, but maybe it could still come out this year. They could announce this year's Pokemon games being like a remaster of Black and White or something like that, I don't know. But this game will be seeing your Pokemon trainer character traveling across the massive city of Luminos City, this world's version of Paris, in a new redevelopment plan in the Kalos region, and have you collecting the many pocket monsters you may come across. Now it does seem like an ambitious project, and I'm sure we will get some more new info on this itself when it releases, possibly as a Switch 2 launch title in early 2025. And with that, that's all the trailers that we have for this week.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
So I'm starting off this week's news with some of the announcements of some upcoming projects that have garnered some release day announcements, and go in the order of when they plan to release, and give a bit of an update when to expect them. So starting with Disney, and to the news that may surprise the likes of many of you, but we are getting a third movie in the Tron franchise next year, and it's garnered a few things as well. Of course, a release date, a full name, a first look, and a description of the plot. So the new name is now called Tron Ares. It's releasing sometime in 2025. It gave us our first look at the main character of Ares, who is being played by Jared Leto, and the plot for this one is focusing on the basis about the Heist Escape program itself being sent from the digital world to the real world on a very dangerous mission, which marks the first human encounter with AI beings. Now, it's a case that hopefully will be likes of the original and the sequel legacies being actually really well done and not a complete mess, and hopefully well worth a watch when the film comes out sometime next year. The next one with a bit of concern is coming to us from Paramount. This is with the long-running rumor now confirmed remake of the reboot version of The Naked Gun, starring Liam Neeson, directed by Kiefer Schaefer from The Lonely Island, and produced by Seth MacFarlane, who did the Ted and Family Guy series, and has a planned release date for July 18th, 2025. Now the concern I have would be if audiences are up for an attempt of a late 2000s slapstick or comedy, or just a slapstick comedy film in general, as they have died out around the late 2000s. In the case of the worry that, people say comedy is subjective in some capacity, and will not live up to the classic role portrayed by the late Leslie Nielsen, but hopefully if the team behind 2022's Chipmunk and Rescue Rangers being involved may help it, which I've heard that film was actually pretty good, then hopefully it will work out and be funny and not make us feeling all like this. As for into 2026, we have gone word earlier this week that we now have an official release date for the upcoming sequel to last year's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, with the sequel planned for release on October 9th, 2026. Now, as we'll see the main cast, as well as Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg back working on the project, and most we do know is that the main focal villain teased at the end of the film will be, of course, be Shredder, as it was teased in the post-credit scene. Now, I really enjoyed the first movie and can check out my opinion of it down in the link in the description for the blog, or open the annotations above here for the review of my video version. And hopefully this film will follow up in the appeal and enjoyment of the first and give great continuing development for the characters overall. And lastly is another one that I'm a bit on the fence about, and that is of course with the confirmation from Warner Bros. That we're likely seeing a release of the new reboot to the Harry Potter franchise, with the series confirmed for 2026, I believe. Now, this is established that each season will delve into each book, which can vary in length, as the first 3 are very short, under 350 pages each, and in book 4 to 7 around over 500 pages. So short seasons for the first 3, long seasons for the other 3, unless they're trying to make it 10 episodes a season, I don't know. But I did mention a while ago in my blog from the early days that something about this just seems like a cash grab for basically Warner Bros, because they keep just want to announce things and write shit off for tax write-offs when they say they're certain things. And then of course the author of the series, who has made some very vile comments about certain people that are actually people and not just, you know, made of fictitious people. I'm talking about the course instance that the author is a TERF, hates the transgender people, when in reality transgender people are actual people and not fucking just seen as jokes to you. And the other issue, as I mentioned, is about the books being varied in length and an instance with some very questionable topics, but also a case that we have seen they have not learned the lesson, given off that they didn't really seem to learn it from the Fantastic Beasts franchise, as it had 3 movies. Both the last 2 of them bombed hard, and so much so that apparently the planned 5-film series of that thing is now cancelled, I believe. So whether or not this will work out is anyone's guess. I'll have to see when it comes out in 2026. But what are your thoughts on all that was announced, and is there any of these in particular you're looking forward to checking out in general? Let me know what you think of all the thoughts of our down below in the comments, and let's discuss them there. Now, I mentioned Warner Bros in the last story, so we're talking about this in the next story, as well as delving into a sector that may have seemed to not care about, although they do claim to be the only pure storytelling company in the industry, and to that I say is total bullshit.
You serious?
Now, I have made countless mentions over the last few years or so that I love animation, and we've seen a new defining style that was blessed to us from the Spider-Verse films that fall into a few other studio films such as Mitch vs. Machines, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and Ninja Turtles, and many more probably following on. And it seems to be the case that now that maybe hope from the form of the world's greatest detective may get a chance at a film like that themselves. Now, earlier this week, Patrick Harpin and Yuki Demers, 2 industry creators that I think worked on the Spider-Verse movies, had pitched the concept of a Batman Beyond animated film in the style of the 2 critically acclaimed Spider-Verse movies. And I mean, just look at the animation. It's goddamn beautiful.
It's beautiful. I've looked at this for 5 hours now.
Now, they say that the likes of film like that at any studio may seem unlikely, but they appreciate the enthusiasm they brought to the table, so it may be a possibility in the future. Then again, it is with Warner Bros, so they will not care much in the form of animation, will write them off for tax purposes. Also, release Cody for Zach Me, don't be dicks. And hopefully, it'll be a case that Mr. James Gunn or Mr. Peter Safran can possibly make it part of the growing DC universe they are making, but I guess we'll have to find out over time. When you hear anything, I'll update in a later video. But what are your thoughts on all this info, and would you be down for a Batman Beyond project in any form? Let me know what you think of it all down below in the comments. Now, we delve into the next story, which is of course discussing about the live action projects courtesy of Disney. Now, it's a case we have been very quiet for a lot of the projects, with little talk about the Lion King prequel sequel coming out this year. Snow White now being delayed by a year means a bit more time before we hear anything on that again. And then the likes of the projects of Hercules and possibly where Hunchback, Moana, and maybe others are still being processed. It all seems to be quiet, that is, except for one that is currently deep into filming, and that is the discussion about, which is the live action adaptation of Lilo and Stitch. Now, we have seen some form of filming take place over the last few months before and after the strikes last year, and since then we haven't seen much of a major behind the scenes imagery, but recently over the last little while we got some images, and of course the one I want to bring up is the first look at the possible blue alien itself, as a behind the scenes photo has given us the proper first look at Stitch sitting in a small pink car. Now, we do not see the full look of the character besides the head and ears, but from how it looks, it seems to be keeping it close to the design of the original, with most case it's probably a stand-in and probably get a little bit of movement touches with CGI, but in most cases it might be more physical, we'll have to know. And it seems to be looking more close to design rather than the creepy monstrosity combination monster creatures that we've seen being made over the 5 years since its announcement in 2018. And hopefully it will turn out well, and I'm sure we'll get some more form of release date for this project sometime soon, and once I do hear anything, I'll let you know in a later piece. But what are your thoughts on this image? Do you think the design looks good or not, and do you think the live action remake will be any good, or just another attempt at a live action version from Disney? Let me know your thoughts down below, and let's discuss your opinions on it there. Now we're discussing some news about the video game industry, and there's been quite the heavy and concerning output lately in terms of the studios that I may give a focus video on sometime soon. And we started the news that relates to a story I brought up about 2 weeks ago, that we were getting a planned Star Wars game based on the Mandalorian Guild, but it now seems like the case that it may be the dream vision for a while and has been shelved for the foreseeable future. Now the reason for this announcement was due to the sudden major layoff of the company of EA that saw around 700 jobs suddenly being let go at the studio, which just came a few days after PlayStation laid off around 900 across its studios. Now it was an interesting concept to talk on and delve into a chance of playing in the future, but maybe we may see it, but I'm guessing it's a very, very slim chance that will happen now. I may delve more into the topic of what has been going on and the worry for the industry sometime soon, because a lot of the sudden firings is a bit concerning. But with a bit more of a positive side of things with new studios, we're talking about one of the companies of Activision, and this of course with the studio of Toys for Bob. Now they've been around for around 2 or 3 decades now, with doing like tie-in games for films as well as stuff like Disney, as well as the creation of Toys of Life with Skylanders, and more recently with the remakes of the Spyro trilogy and Crash Bandicoot 4 and Crash Team Rumble. Now there was worried rumblings that the studio was about to be shut down as well due to some of the layoffs that were affected by Microsoft. But it seems that is not the case, but rather it was announced that we will be seeing the company announcing they're becoming an independent studio, and they were given full support from Activision and Microsoft in the decision making, and everything is in the process, and I do hope all the success for them in the future. Now whether or not this is the case that still be able to make games in the likes of franchises like Spyro and Crash still, or if they basically those are now with other studios, but I doubt they're going to get much on those or become dormant, because every studio that under Microsoft, Activision now is basically making stuff for Candy Crush or Call of Duty. But I'm sure if I hear anything, I'll update in a later video. But what are your thoughts on 2 topics? Are you disappointed in the cancellation of a Mandalorian game and would have loved to play it? And what are your thoughts on the expansion of the Toys for Bob independent studio? Let me know what your thoughts down below in the comments. Now initially this was the second last story, but I'm going to leave the last story to next week because it relates to a certain other release that comes out next week. But we're going to delve into some casting news for 3 different projects this week, and instead of dividing them up into 3 separate stories, I'm going to lump together into the story and delve into each of them now. So we'll start with the news of some new casting announcements for the upcoming 2nd season to the HBO video game adaptation of The Last of Us. Now we have seen castings over the last few weeks for the characters of Abby, Jess, Dina, and also a case of an undisclosed role being played by Catherine O'Hara. And now we have received a selection of 4 more cast members that will make up some of the members of Abby's gang of friends. And if you know what they were involved with, you might be a bit on the side about this. So we have the confirmation of Aurelia Bearer, who was in How to Blow Up a Pipeline, playing the role of Mel, the sort of pregnant medic. Danny Ramirez, you've seen in Top Gun Maverick, playing the role of Manny. Tati Gabrielle, who was in Uncharted and the Netflix series of You, who will be playing the role of Nora. And Spencer Lord, who was in Heartland, who will be playing the role of Owen. Now, whether or not we will see any other members of the group of Wolf members in this, if anyone's guess, but I'm sure we'll learn more as the series begins to start filming or continue to film for the release of the next season in 2025. Next, we're taking a trip to the Arconia, as it's time to begin the mystery of the next murder in the building, as the 4th season has gone underway filming as of Friday, and we have seen some confirmed returning faces for the 4th season, which includes the return of Meryl Streep from the 3rd season. And we've also seen the confirmation of 3 more joining the cast, which includes Molly Shannon from A Good Person, Eva Longoria from Flaming Hot, or the musician, as well as Eugene Levy, who you may know from Schitt's Creek, have all been confirmed for the new season. It's unclear if we'll see any return of some other characters like Nathan Lane for the 4th season, given he wasn't in the third one, but I'm sure we'll learn more as the series continues to film over the next few weeks, as they just started filming there on Friday. And lastly, it's with a new casting confirmation for the newest Superman movie, now just retitled as Superman. Now, this also just started filming on Thursday, which was of course Superman Day, and we have seen a massive stacked cast, but it's just been received one more casting addition to the form of Wendell Pierce, you may know from The Wire, and Jack Ryan, who will be playing the character of Perry White, the head of the Daily Planet in the film that has multiple metahumans and villains in a very stacked cast, and I think it's a very well established and made cast as well as a choice for this character. And I'm sure we'll learn more and start more of this film as it begins its filming process for its release in mid-July next year. But what are your thoughts on all this casting news below? And what are you looking forward to the most of this list discussed? Let me know of all of your opinions in the comments section down below. With that, that's all the news that we have for this week. And now, this brings us to the end of episode 41 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I do hope that you have all enjoyed my content and discussion for this week, as always. Some little updates. I do have the Academy Award predictions ready to go. I haven't edited it yet. I haven't filmed it. I'm going to get filming that later today. Just have it released hopefully by midweek, just before Sunday. I'm going to have it out before the Oscars anyway. My Focal Instance reviews, I'm going to get to at some point. The Rewatchathon I'm going to get to as well. I just sort of plan it out. I've been all over the place lately. Try and get as much of an assistance as I can. It's just it varies. It's a process. Other stuff, I'm gonna have some more updates, reviews, topical stuff. We'll probably do that gaming video at some point, and maybe just gameplays, readings, other stuff like that. I have at least 1 or 2 more things out of the review list. I'm gonna do a game review for the Mario Wonder game. I just absolutely smashed that game in a couple of days, and I loved every bit of it. And I've also seen Madame Web, and surprisingly, I didn't hate it. I don't love it. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's god awful either. So you're going to expect a review for that soon. But that's basically all I have for this week. So if you enjoyed my content and want to see more from me, then simply like the video and subscribe, as I appreciate every single person who takes the time and effort to check out my videos, just whether watching it, liking it, even commenting now and again. I appreciate any support of that. Besides that, I appreciate every single one of you for watching my stuff and sharing around or commenting on those discussion points of the week. And I do hope you enjoy my stuff. I'm not just sitting to myself rambling for all other forms of attention. But I'm going to leave it there for now. So thank you all for watching. And as always, you all stay being wonderful people, because you all are wonderful people, and have a great day every day doing many great things, and stay being you, because no one else can do what you can do, and the world is a better place with you in them. And with that, I'm going to end it there. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. So take care everybody, and goodbye.